welcome back to Underreported Stories. I missed you guys last week. Thursday, we did not have an episode because TBH, I drugged myself. Nothing serious, nothing crazy, but I did drug myself with way too many Benadryls. I don't know about you guys, but I never experienced allergies like I did this past week. It wasn't just like the itchy eyes or whatever. It was burning lip sensation. Like my lips were on fire. My skin has been like itchy and breaking out. I was losing vision at one point because my eyes were like crusted. It's disgusting and crazy that a bunch of dander and pollen can absolutely unravel a human being. So Thursday, I fully intended to get up and just like do the show a little bit late, and 10:30 rolled around and my husband had started a new job that week. So he usually works like part-time at home. Well, he started a new job. So he wasn't there to like wake me up, which that's on me for sure. It's not his job to do that. But usually like, I don't know, it was like a new day, a new week. I just like wasn't used to it. And I saw the clock and I don't know why in the world we have like blackout curtains. I thought it was 10:30 p.m. I slept until 1:50 p.m. on Thursday. And finally I was like, I texted my producer. I'm like, the show is not happening today. I have drugged myself into oblivion. I can barely see. I can barely talk. So yeah, the show was obviously not happening. But before we hop into today's stories, I did want to take a moment to address Biden's cancer diagnosis because that's been obviously the biggest story of the week. And when I was thinking about how I wanted to talk about this, I was like, you know, there are a lot of you who listen to this show who know that I'm really not the biggest partisan out there, and I'm a Christian. So of course, you know, my prayers are with the former president, and I actually have prayed for the guy. Like I don't wish ill will on him. But I've been thinking a lot about the conversation that you all are having likely at your dinner table at night, with your friends, with your family. And if you're in a similar situation to me, where you don't like Joe Biden politically, you don't think he's a very good person, but you also don't root for the cancer against him, right? I just wanted to put your mind at ease that truly, no matter what the media says, that it's mean to talk about Joe Biden's cancer. Meghan McCain out here saying, like, we need to stop politicizing someone's sickness. Rest assured that is a delusional take, okay? In the off chance, this is how I saw it, in the off chance that the Bidens are telling the truth, that they didn't catch this prostate cancer until last week, which none of that lines up. Let's just play pretend, okay? That means the reality of the situation is that the cover-up of Biden's cognitive decline, which was the refusal to see doctors out of the risk that the doctors would say he is not suited for office mentally, that choice that the Bidens made, that refusal to get medical attention for an at-risk elderly man, may have led to delayed detection of this tragic diagnosis. So when people are out there saying that addressing this issue is political, please remember that you are talking about a man who is so inherently political, he was potentially willing to either lie about his cancer diagnosis or ignore all the warning signs of a cancer diagnosis simply for political power. No matter what the truth of the situation is, this man has completely politicized his life by choice. Talking about his politicized life is not you making something political. It is the reality of the situation. I know that there are people out there like myself with big hearts. Yes, we are very empathetic, big heart people. So please, I just want to give you a little bit of peace of mind. You are not mean for recognizing reality. It was mean for the Bidens to do what they did to Joe Biden. It was mean for Joe to do what he did to us, which is lie. So please, don't feel guilty that you're having conversations about this. Don't buy into this lie that we can't talk about all of the mishaps that happened under his administration and in the past because of something new information that we have now that was likely covered up to us, okay? You're not a conspiracy theorist, you're not crazy, and you're certainly not mean. You're just living in reality. So there's that. And speaking of other stories that are sadly in reality, let's get to our docket for today. So we have a Virginia public school that is facing a statewide investigation after the school district investigated a bunch of teenagers for complaining about a transgender student being in the opposite sex locker room. Plus, a UCLA student went on a 9-day hunger strike for Palestine, and my hometown of Nashville has lost its ever-loving mind over illegal immigration. By the way, if you do hear snores in the background, I'm dog sitting this adorable, sweet little Rottweiler who I love with my whole life, but who really loves to snore and refuses to leave my side. So anyway, if you hear snores, it's not Joe Biden in my closet over here. I'm kidding. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into the 5 underreported stories that you need to know. And the 5 underreported stories that you need to know are brought to you by Branch Basics. I love uncovering the truth in politics, in media, and even the truth about what's in our so-called cleaning products. Most of these store-bought cleaning products are just loaded with toxic chemicals, hormone disruptors, and allergens. This is stuff that can impact your health, your kids' health, and even your pets. That's why I made the switch to Branch Basics. Their products are completely non-toxic and human safe. No synthetic fragrances, no weird chemicals. My mom came over for Mother's Day. She saw my Branch Basic products and she was like, I am going to use code Chrissy and toss out the toxins. So if you want to join and be as smart and intelligent as my mother, please head over to branchbasics.com/Chrissy, or you can use the link in the description. Use code Chrissy, that's CHRISSY, to get 15% off of your first order. Again, use code Chrissy at checkout. So like I said, we are going to start off by talking about this insane investigation coming out of Virginia that's been ongoing for a couple of weeks, but really expedited in the last 24 hours. So 3 high school-aged boys are under a sexual harassment investigation after they complained to each other in a school locker room about a biological female who identifies as a male being in the boys' locker room. The 3 boys allegedly asked each other why a transgender boy was in the locker room, and as they complained among themselves, the transgender boy allegedly recorded the discussion on a phone. That is against, if not all public schools, seriously all public schools, school rules. So after the video recording was taken, the biological female in the men's locker room filed a Title IX complaint against the 3 boys. So the actual boys are being investigated for sexual harassment for speaking to each other about how a biological female in their space makes them feel uncomfortable. Now, the governor of Virginia, Glenn Youngkin, and the state's attorney general, Jason Miyares, are investigating the Loudoun County Public School District over the school's investigation into these boys. Remember, Loudoun County Public Schools was very publicized in the, I believe, 2020 election that ended up electing Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin when a biological boy was utilizing the women's bathroom and allegedly sexually assaulted a biological female, and instead of being expelled from the school district, instead of making this public to the parents, the local DAs in the area who were funded by George Soros just put the kid in a different school. So it's a real great school district. Anyway, the law of Virginia right now states that students are required to use the locker room that corresponds with their biological sex, and failure to do so is a violation of Title IX. Illegally recording in a locker room is also illegal, by the way. So these boys are out here using common sense. They feel really uncomfortable about being in a space with a biological female while they're changing. And I think that's totally valid. For whatever reason, we've kind of made this image in our mind, I guess you could say, that of course it's really uncomfortable for biological females to be changing in front of biological males. But of course, the inverse would be true as well. These are boys with like changing, developing bodies. It's weird. You don't want a girl in your space. Totally get that. So I wanted to pull up a clip for you guys because Renee Smith, she is the mother of one of these boys, spoke at the LCPS, that's the Loudoun County Public School board meeting, and here is what she had to say on the matter.
I'm here to speak on behalf of my son who has been wrongfully accused of a Title IX violation. In truth, he is the victim of a Title IX violation, ignored and unsupported by the very system that is supposed to protect him. LCPS was notified multiple times that my son felt uncomfortable in the boys' locker room. These concerns were dismissed. As a result, video recordings of my son and other students were taken in a space which is a severe breach of their privacy, dignity, and safety.
This is so sad. And by the way, I just want to throw this little fact in there for you. LCPS is currently spending $11 million, according to local news outlets, to design and build bathrooms to have more gender-neutral bathrooms for students. So this is an ongoing project where they know that this is an issue in their school district. They know it. They just refuse to address it.
Our children are the most valuable gift we have, entrusted to your care each day. When we send them to school, we expect the same protection we would give them at home. The district's failure to act on known concerns didn't just endanger my son, it failed every student involved, including the complainant. This isn't just a policy failure, it's a moral one. I urge this board to acknowledge these systemic failures, immediately drop the Title IX investigation against my son.
And now they cut off her mic. So Renee, the mom, brought up such a great point that the victim in this isn't just the boys. It's the alleged victim, the transgender identifying student as well, right? The school is not doing this student any favors by allowing this child to be around a bunch of high school aged boys who can very clearly tell that this person is a biological female. And I just don't buy into this faux compassion. It's not compassionate to either party involved to have someone of the opposite sex cosplaying genders in a high school locker room, right? That's not compassionate. The other point I wanted to make that was really irking me is that sexual harassment claims are not something to be frivolous about. These claims, if proven true by the school, will follow these boys into the workplace. It'll make getting into college virtually impossible for them because sexual harassment can constitute a litany of different things, but we all know what you see, what people see when they see the word sexual harassment, right? They don't think of these kids were in a really uncomfortable situation that they had repeatedly asked for the school district to do something about it. No. It comes across as these boys sexually harassed a young girl. That's what it will come across as. Well, I guess the kids can go to like Liberty or Hillsdale if this investigation doesn't get dropped. That's probably about it. It's just really sad to see, first off, a young woman being put in this situation, and second off, a young boy, all these young boys dealing with the consequences of a bunch of delusional adults that cannot do anything to save people, to save their own kids that they're supposed to be protecting. And I believe Renee brought that up in her video as well, in her commentary at the LCPS school board meeting. She said, your job is to protect these kids, and you're making it virtually impossible to do so. So I'm out there praying for these boys. I am praying for their families. I am praying for that confused girl. I am. It's so freaking sad. It breaks my heart. I want to get into another story that broke some people's heart, and I can not deny to you it did not affect me in any way, shape, or form. Truly could not have cared less about the way that this next person acted. So, a UCLA student went on a 9-day hunger strike for Palestine, demanding that the university stop working with companies that have ties to Israel. We are going to watch this girl's rambling video, I should say, like truly rambling, and I lost it. Where's QuickTime? There we go. Okay, pulling it up for you guys right now.
My name is Maya. I am a third-year Palestinian UCLA student, and today marks the first day of my indefinite hunger strike in protest of my university's direct involvement of my people's genocide. Today,
I always wonder this too, because I don't actually have an answer for you. I just wonder, why is it your people? Like, are you American and you descend from that general territory of like Israel, Palestine, Middle East, or are you like actually Palestinian? I don't know the answer. I just find it like a really weird way of basically kind of creating some sort of victim oppression hierarchy mentality in these videos. Like, she's probably been in America her entire life, but she's like, my people. You've never been to Palestine. Shut up.
marks the 68th day of no food or aid going into Gaza. The people of Gaza have reported that they are starving. My university uses our...
The people of Gaza have also reported that they didn't try to start a war by kidnapping people and holding people hostage. So let's just, show a modicum of honesty about the propaganda that's going on from both sides in this war.
Tuition money to invest in Israeli companies going on hunger strike, to urge my university to divest from these companies, to stop the constant beratement of UCLA students who protest legally on campus for Palestine, and to urge my university to protect the undocumented students who are here learning from deportation.
Okay, so we're not just going on hunger strike for Palestine. No, we're also going on hunger strike for a bunch of undocumented illegal immigrants who are in college here too. Okay. Interesting, I will say. Very interesting. So students are now blaming UCLA because Maya, which is the girl in the video, she was actually hospitalized for the pains she felt from starving herself, as if the university forced her not to eat. So if you're in the listening audience, this video I'm about to pull up is Maya being put into the back of an ambulance, and you will hear somebody, whoever is recording, blaming this on UCLA. Watch this.
Please hear her. She's literally being hospitalized because of you. This is on you, UCLA.
A sandwich could have really solved most of these issues. This is not about reality. This is about drama. This is about getting attention, not about being intellectual or healthy. So I went online because one of the words or sentences that stuck out to me in Maya's initial diatribe that we watched was that the institution is essentially funding a genocide. So I went online and I looked up how much tuition for UCLA costs. If you're in state and you're not on campus housing, it's about $33,000 a year, which is already criminal. And then if you are out of state, so if she's actually from Palestine, which I doubt it, if she's actually, out of state, she's not from California, and she's living on campus, which is a good chunk of people, that's about $77,000. If you actually believe that UCLA is genuinely complicit in an actual genocide, a good start wouldn't be starving yourself to the point of going in an ambulance. You would start by ending the cash flow to the people you believe are complicit in evil. That would be a much more normal, effective response. Don't enrich people you don't like. I don't go and buy from Starbucks because I don't like Starbucks, okay? It's not that difficult of an exercise to engage in. And better yet, if I were her, if you guys can't hear June, my dog that I'm watching, snore, I don't know how. These mics are really good then. She is snoring so loud I can barely concentrate. Anyway, where were we at? We're talking about crazy Maya. Oh yeah, I was saying I think she should sue the school. Okay, yes, I think she should sue the school for false advertising. Because hear me out. If you're a third year, she said in her video she's a third year student, you're a third year in school, and you only know how to believe propaganda coming from a terrorist organization, I don't think you've learned an ounce of critical thinking. Your school, UCLA, $77,000 worth of tuition a year, should probably be teaching you how to critical think. Just a thought, tossing it out there. I don't know if she'll take my idea. After all, she's delusional. But, free advice, as I like to do on this podcast. Anyway, let's get into our next story. I did a short form reel about it that I released this morning, May 20th, and I was really proud of this reel because this was such a fascinating issue to me that I feel like is maybe a little nerdy, but I just really liked it. So 12 businesses have launched this major lawsuit over hot dogs. So businesses in San Diego are suing the actual city of San Diego and the officials of San Diego because illegal immigrants are in the city running illegal hot dog stands. Well, it's actually illegal food trucks, but most of them are selling hot dogs. And the market uptick of these illegal hot dog stands is destroying American businesses, which is crazy. We'll get into how. But despite the problem, Democrat Mayor Todd Gloria refuses to take any action because illegal immigrants are just taking over the city's sidewalks with these food trucks. And it's gotten so bad that businesses are actually having to close after 25 years. And some of those business owners have even taken it out on the illegal vending stands themselves and kind of like gotten aggressive with the illegal immigrants and whatnot. So I was trying to think of it through both lenses, right? You're an illegal immigrant, you have no source of income. The city's not going to do shit about you putting out an illegal hot dog stand. You can go to the store, grab a bunch of hot dog buns, some ketchup, some mustard, and hot dogs, and you're on your way to making a profit because the city cares more about the fact that you're an illegal immigrant than they do about actually following the standards of business operation or health codes for that matter, right? That's a great situation for them. And then you think about it through the business owner's POV, right? These are established restaurants, and they have to pay for their brick and mortar restaurant. They pay rent, they pay taxes, they jump through a bunch of endless permit hoops, especially in California. Meanwhile, and by the way, the street vendors, the food trucks that are not run by illegal immigrants they're also going through buying a bus, paying rent, paying taxes, jumping through endless permit hoops. They're doing the exact same things. And then these street vendors who aren't even in the country legally, they just get to set up shop on the street overnight. That is not fair. And I think a lot of this kind of boils down to a larger snapshot and a larger tension that's playing out across cities in America, right? This isn't just like carts versus restaurants. No. You have law-abiding citizens dealing with the consequences of people coming to America illegally. And those are real, legitimate consequences. Restaurant owners reported sales dropping by as much as 30% since the illegal stands began multiplying in San Diego. That's a huge chunk of your business performance, right? And I saw a lot of the comments on my video that I made saying, well, if an illegal hot dog stand can take out your business, you don't even deserve to have a business. You guys, it takes so much money to operate these places. Like, they're running on thin margins as it begins with. It's difficult to find good and reliable staff nowadays. And all of a sudden you have drunk people, because this is taking place in a lot of like the party scene areas. You have drunk people walking down the street just grabbing a hot dog as opposed to going inside of your business. Yeah, that's going to stifle it. And the fact that they're doing it illegally, operating illegally, while all these other businesses are paying taxes and basically bankrolling the business on the sidewalk that's ruining and destroying their own business, that is awful. That is awful. You're literally just watching someone with a makeshift grill undersell you by half and get away with it solely because they're here in the country illegally and the Democrat mayor doesn't want to hurt their feelings. Imagine that. I actually could not imagine building a business for decades, following literally every rule only to watch someone destroy your business without having any of the same responsibilities. That is not okay. The playing field is uneven, and it is practically vertical for law-abiding citizens. Meanwhile, mind you, the city is still collecting taxes from those legal businesses while operating the competition to operate tax-free. And I was asking in my video, what message does that send to hardworking Americans, American entrepreneurs who are playing by the rules? And the most frustrating part, to answer my own question on that, is that the American business owners who wake up and realize this, oh, well, I'm just not going to play by the rules anymore, F it. The ones who stop playing by the rules, all of a sudden, watch, the rules will be implemented for them, just not for the illegal immigrants. It's crazy. And I feel really bad because normally I don't feel super bad for Californians. Like, oh, yikes. I do feel bad in this instance because this is a relatively conservative part of California being destroyed by a moron liberal governor. Or not governor, mayor. Moron liberal mayor. And I feel bad for them. Sue me. I'm empathetic. Speaking of moron liberal mayors effing up cities, my hometown of Nashville has lost its frickin' mind over illegal immigration, guys. So Nashville implemented a community review board that encourages citizens to essentially tattletale on police officers who participate in immigration operations. So if the police are doing their job and detaining people who are illegally in the country, the liberals of Nashville now have a phone number that they can call to report police doing the job of the police. And that's because Nashville's moronic mayor is trying to make it illegal for the police to work with ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and is basically turning the city into a sanctuary city without explicitly saying so. And this announcement was made on Twitter, and you guys, some of the comments on this were so funny, I have to pull it up for you. If you're in the listening audience, do not worry, I'm going to read this all for you. But they made this post saying, this is the Nashville Community Review Board, saying, your voice matters. If you saw a police officer participating in an immigration operation, you can file a confidential complaint. So anyway, the comments are so funny. Someone said, wait, if you see a police officer doing his job, you should file a complaint? You people are insane. Jay Jackson said, what a joke. You should be embarrassed. Don't tell anyone anything. And Nashville doesn't support illegal activity, unlike this group. Feisty Renegade literally put a picture of all the council members saying, we are proudly fighting for violent criminal illegals. Congressional MS-13 caucus. That's so funny. Someone else said, did you see the police enforcing the law? Well, we can't have that happening, can we? Another one said, Nashville's community board was a bad idea from the start and again is essentially seeking to handcuff officers who are trying to keep our community safe. Did you guys notice the number of criminals that were rounded up last weekend? Why do you want them in our community? And that was a reference to the ICE raids that have been happening. So this all comes as like ICE has been performing mini raids on Broadway in Nashville, and they detained 196 illegal immigrants, a majority of whom were either felons or were previously deported from the country. And it's so funny. This cracks me up completely. The media are trying to claim that this, like the Broadway Nashville raids, are somehow Kid Rock's fault. If you didn't know this, Kid Rock, like the musician Kid Rock, he has a bar on Broadway that uses his name and his likeness. And almost every bar on Broadway uses some country star name and likeness. There's Jason Aldean's, Morgan Wallen's, Luke Bryan, Luke Combs. None of these massive country stars on tour are actually running the bar. They have assorted deals with the management of these bars, and the bar uses their name and likeness for a given period of time, and then actual management companies own and operate the bars. A good example is there was a really popular bar. It was the Florida Georgia Line bar, and they had, I think it was like a 14-year deal, or maybe it was 4, something like that, a long-standing deal with a bar owner, and the bar was called Florida Georgia Line, or FGL House. And it was a very popular bar. Florida Georgia Line was then offered to re-up their deal. They said, no, we don't want you to use our name and likeness anymore. But the bar still operates. It's called Laney Wilson's now, or like Moonshine Bar or something like that. I don't know. I haven't been to Broadway in a while. You can probably tell. Anyway, it's the same bar. It just now has a different country artist name. So this is not like some magical thing where the musician comes in and they're making all this money and they're running the day-to-day operations. Like, no, they're freaking musicians. So Daily Mail put out this article saying that Kid Rock's Nashville restaurant, as if Kid Rock's runs this place, was the next target for Trump's sweeping ICE raids. And he did have a response that he put out yesterday. Let me pull this up for you. It's real funny. He said, "Clearly, I do not have anything to do with the day-to-day operations at Honky Tonk. It's called Kid Rock's Big Ass Honky Tonk. That's what the bar is called. But it is good clip. Like, I get it. That being said, I 100% support getting illegal criminals out of our country no matter what they are or where they are, sorry. I also, like President Trump, want to speed up the process of getting great immigrants into our country legally. It's that simple, folks. But the below is not a juicy enough headline to get clicks and views." I think he meant the above. The above is not a juicy enough headline to get clicks and views. In this day and age, the truth often is not. Thank you. I cannot believe it takes Kid Rock to be the voice of sanity in American politics. And by the way, I was doing a little research on the side of this. These businesses will likely face a bunch of fines too. So I was learning about the Immigration Reform and Control Act of 1986. Boring, wonky. But what it does is it imposes both civil and criminal fines for unlawfully hiring undocumented immigrants. So in that case, Kid Rock's big ass honky tonk, they're going to be in trouble and potentially fined either civilly or criminally for unlawfully hiring undocumented immigrants if that's the case. If I were one of these immigrants, let me just say I would be taking that $1,000 being offered by the Trump administration and heading back to my home country where I could apply for legal immigration back into the U.S. at another time. Because the immigration raids that are just beginning also consist of the DOJ going after businesses for illegally employing illegal immigrants. And then those illegal immigrants, when all of that starts happening, they will be jobless as well. So take the money, get on the flight, and get out of here. That's the best bet. You're saving the taxpayer money, you're saving yourself, and you're providing yourself with a future opportunity. I don't think many illegal immigrants are listening to underreported stories, but just in case. And in the same vein of illegal immigration talk, I wanted to bring up our fifth and final story. Wow, we are rocking through today. All right, so 2 Florida men were arrested for kidnapping teenagers that turned out to be illegal immigrants. So 2 girls, one aged 14 and the other 15, were reported by their parents on May 3rd as missing. The girls live in North Carolina. Police claims that the girls left voluntarily in the middle of the night to, quote, meet some guys they met. Authorities identified the guys as 22-year-old Edwin Alberto Cardenas and 18-year-old Erickson Leonel Ulo Flores. The men are being charged with kidnapping and have been flagged with immigration holds after they were found with those 2 girls in Florida. They were initially reported as Florida men. Turns out they're illegal immigrants. Now, I wish I had so much more information on this, especially how those 2 girls met these 2 guys. How in the world do 2 adult men correspond and then start hanging out with a 14 and a 15-year-old girl? I want to know how the communication started. It's so interesting to me, and I want to know how it progressed to these girls essentially running away, according to the police, but also being kidnapped. This is so odd to me. But I do have a feeling that these 2 men are going to end up in that maximum security prison in El Salvador. For sure, without a doubt. Because where else would they go? Seriously. Before we wrap up today, I do want to give you all some updates on the ongoing Sean Diddy Combs trial as we head into week 2. This is a quick reminder that opening statements kicked off on May 12th, and today marks day 7 of witness testimony. This week, and today specifically, we've heard a lot from Combs' personal assistant, David James. James worked for Combs in 2007 up until 2009 and said on the stand that his to-do list, as his job description, included stocking skincare products, baby oil, condoms, and a Louis Vuitton bag with drugs and cash for Diddy. James testified that Combs took drugs, quote, every day, including sometimes taking ecstasy pills shaped like former President Barack Obama. Combs reportedly kept a laundry list of drugs, including Percocets, Viagra, weight loss drugs, and sperm count pills. Prosecutors are attempting to paint Combs as running an organized ring, having assistants, security guards, dancers, people like James, who greased the wheels of his exploitations. Also taking the stand this week is Regina Ventura, the mother of Combs' ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. Regina is set to testify on a 2011 email in which Cassie informed her mother that Combs threatened to release X-rated videos of her. Regina, the elder Ventura, testified that she and her husband took out an equity loan to pay $20,000 to Combs to stop the release of the X-rated materials. She's reportedly transferred the money to Combs' Bad Boy Records account, though the sum ended up being returned to the elder Ventura's account after 4 or 5 days. Next to take the stand this week is Sheree Hayes, a male exotic dancer nicknamed The Punisher. We will talk about his testimony on Thursday's episode. Anyway, that is all for your Diddy recap. There was a little bit more that happened on Monday, including testimony from Cassie Ventura's friends. But I would really encourage you guys to listen to Megyn Kelly's AM Update if you want a really good breakdown of that. That was not on today's trial, and it would take truly forever to get through all of the testimony. So I'm giving you a testimony and update from Tuesday. Anyway, if you are a real one and you made it to the end of today's show, will you drop the corn emoji as an homage to what we now see is happening at the Diddy trial, as awful as that is? I will see you guys back here on Thursday. We have a guest joining the show, so we'll see you guys then. Bye, friends. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked what you heard, please be sure to subscribe and leave a comment about how beautiful, intelligent, and funny I am. And if you want more content, click right over here for more videos and clips of my show. I'll see you back here next time. Bye!